field is a very good opening for those of you who are striving to get a double age.
In this video we're going to look at the latest developments in the 6 bishop g5 knight draw.
I'm gonna start with sort of my first official Stonewall game.
The idea is not to fight against any opponent move, prevent everything, defend and so on. No, it's just to move.
Time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Hi everyone, welcome to our new video series. My name is Jan Gustafsson and I'm thrilled to be reunited with fellow Magnus Carlsen's trainers, seconds, Peter Heine Nielsen, Magnus Carlsen's head coach, and Laurent Fressinet, Magnus Carlsen's French coach, are both here, and we will be going through the World Championship match 2021. Our experiences with it, the games, what we prepared, where we felt things went well, where we felt things didn't go well. Peter, we have different perspectives because we were in different locations.
Very much. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about it because you were in Thailand during all the match and I was in Dubai with Magnus and his non-chess team. So I see some kind of debriefing where we will discuss what was the mood in Dubai, what was happening in the technical department in Thailand, and we got to sort of basically compare notes and get the two kind of inside looks from the match.
Very much so. And Laurent, we are actually in your private home. Thanks for having us.
It's a big pleasure to welcome both of you, and I'm sure it will be interesting to talk to you guys about the match.
Likewise.
So we hope you guys enjoy the series with our behind the scenes insights. See you then.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Banter Blitz. Hope you've enjoyed watching the candidates coverage today, a bloodthirsty round. And let's see how tonight goes with my Banter Blitz. As always, shout in chat if there are any particular openings you want me to play. And hello Sweet Tooth, playing the first round. And as usual, I'll start with my coffee house stuff. And we have a hyper accelerated dragon. So I think I give two options here. Knight f3 is the straightforward way of playing. I discovered while I was looking at it that I think this is an interesting move. Then when the queen's attacked, we drop it back and we actually play an unexplored dragon, which appeals to me. It's a bit odd. The knight on g1 looks like it should be a terrible version. But often on d4 it gets hit, so and has to drop back to b3. So that's not so clear. And the knight on d4 also gets in the way, preventing any d5 break. I was allowing some d5 break because the knight's in the way. So with it on g1, it's a bit more difficult for black to get in his thematic break. Okay, knight g4 is the other way. Here at least I can move my bishop. I think generally if both dragon and king's Indian, if black can get rid of this dark square bishop, even at the cost of the exchange or a pawn or something, he's doing very well. So this knight g4 tactic is quite an important one, especially as normally you can't move the bishop away from e3 because the knight will be hanging on d4. Okay, and now I have to make a choice. Let's jump into the... This is usually the problem square in the dragon structure for black. It looks very pretty, dragon-esque, with the D and G pawns. But it means that this T5 square is a very tempting one for white. E6 is what black wants to do to kick it away, but then the pawn on D6 will be weak. Here it's impossible too because of the pin. Now what's the time control today? I invariably get into time trouble. This one is 3-0, so I have to be a bit careful not to lose on time. And let's ask the question of that knight. I don't think really wants to draw back to f6 because then I'll take twice some damage. But now I can gain some time on the knight. And hello Semichella. Hello everyone else in chat. Let's just keep pushing. When in doubt, push your pawns, right? I'm very tempted by some knight sacrifice with knight takes e7. But it probably doesn't really work. Before it was more tempting because I'd be able to take the pawn on d6 without exchanging queens. f5, knight takes e4 looks like it is probably okay for black. So I should probably defend this pawn on e4 somehow. Let's do it with the queen. e1 looks like an odd square for the queen, but hopefully it's got out of the way of the rook, and it's still keeping an eye on the a5 square. I'm trying to stop, trying to develop some kingside pieces. Stop black from going queen a5 and mating me. But I'm still a bit scared it's going to happen. I'll take my eye off it for a moment. There we go, the first mate threat. So how to deal with it. I need to push B or C pawns, I think. Both create weaknesses. C3, I'm very scared by knight A4, which would threaten mate again on B2. So I think I have to do this. Knight A4 still might be a very good move. My bishop's a bit sidelined over on H4. This is quite scary. Lower the mid corner. No. As you can see, I'm in a lot of trouble here. Welcome challenges from anyone. I'm also going to lose on time. This is last time I remember I lost horribly in the first game. I need to cover some squares. This problem, the dragon has so much potential. Eek, take, and then take on c2 is probably oh, squeak tooth is sharp. Yep. So if I take the knight takes b3. Okay, I'll have to do it anyway. And pray that there's no mate. If there's no mate, I'm going to do this on time. Okay, so I'm going to go rook c4. Okay, is there a mate? We've not seen one yet, but there's a lot of pieces in the attack. No, at least my bishop's defending my queen. That's a lucky. Queen a5 would have won my queen otherwise. 8 seconds. So if I'm checked with the knight, I'll probably come back to d2. Oh, take my queen. Okay, now it's just going to be... Oops, that was not a good way. Any other way. Oh, that's a nice way of checkmating me. Good game, sweet tooth. Interesting piece sacrifice. I think... I wasn't sure actually if here if I'm in a lot of trouble other than having no time. Maybe I am. Knight f3 is probably a very good move. And here, the way I went was suicidal. Not sure why I didn't run. Well, I had no time. running back into this corner would have been safer. Anyway, good job, Sweet Tooth, and let's see if I can get on the board sometime soon. Hello, Liv Tyler. We played a couple of times before. We've got a couple of good games. Let's see if I can get King's Indian. Hello, Stuart. Yes, like last time, I went down in the first game. It's all upwards from here, hopefully. I think this is what I recommend in my course. And now the question is whether I want to play a proper King's Indian, Finchester King's Indian reversed with d5, or if I want to keep playing as black. Let's just play d6. And my plan here is going to be e5 when d4 is a threat. It might be now, so I'll play e5 and expand on the queen side. Got King's Indian attack here. Now I'd like to play. I'm getting ready to play c4. This is a bit of like the mysterious rapport b3 played in the candidates. Was it yesterday against Duda? And that worked well. Okay, let's stop c4 being an option. That does mean I've given away an outpost on c4, but gained one on d4. Swings and roundabouts. Okay, I'll bishop into e6. Yeah, maybe I'll have to give the Alekhine a whirl again. Probably if it's a 4 pawns, I shouldn't try g5 again, though. That hasn't worked that well for me. This exchange on f3 is a double-edged decision, by the way. We're all taught that bishops are better than knights. But it's a blocked position, and I'm playing for this control of the d4 square. The last square bishop didn't do anything for that. So, attacking a pawn, defend it. So I want, the d4 outpost. In a perfect world, I'd want to exchange this bishop on g7 as well. It's time to play h5. The point of h6 was so my bishop didn't get attacked on e6. Now that bishop's gone, it's not really relevant anymore. Let's just ask Liv how she wants to deal with h4. I'm trying to provoke g4, I think, to get another outpost on the f4 square. Okay, that job is done. So f4 is sort of the classic break. There we go. The downside of it, though, is that my bishop becomes strong. I'm going to put something on e5. Do I want to keep a bishop or a knight? Let's go slightly unusual with the bishop. So this knight on e5 is much better than the bishop on g2, which is blocked in by its own pawns. So now I want to exchange off some pieces. I want queen h6, but g5 might be annoying. So just to make sure there's no attack, over defend this pawn, exchange some pieces, and then queen f6 was a bit accommodating, but that was my plan. Maybe exchange off a pair of rooks and then start hopping the knight around. In 46 seconds, we'll see if I survive. Without blundering this pawn would be useful as well. Am I worried about g5? I don't think so. I can defend the pawn. I do need to figure out how I'm making any progress. My position looks very pretty. Probably I'm going to have to play f5 to exchange off these rooks. I can't see a better way to do it. That one blocks my plan. Now how to get this rook on f8 involved without losing on time, that is the question. Yeah, I was wondering about g5. Probably it's a very good move. So I didn't have a way of defending my rook. Ooh, 18 seconds. Getting tight. Hoping for some fun with the checks. But probably I should take him with the rook. King g1 I think might be strong now. Okay, same thing. I think I needed to move my rook out of the way so that my knight isn't pinned at least. Okay, I've succeeded in the exchanges, but I've got 9 seconds. Let's see if we can manage it. My knight hops around, picking up pawns. Okay. 5 seconds. At least I should be able to pre-move them now. Got 50-50 wrong. Oh, put out of auto. Queen on. Ah. Okay. Well, that was my own fault. Let's put auto promote to queen back on. Not sure why I turned that one off. Well done, Liv. You kept the game going long enough. And I really should have stalemated, I suppose, once I realised that I was running out of time. There must be a mate in a couple here, but I failed. King c1 or something, and then check and queen b2 mate. Oh well. 0 from 2 start. At some point I'll win a game. I won't stop until I do. Shadow mate. Hello. What do I think of the Trompovsky? Sorry, I missed the question. I used to play the Tromp and still have to wheel it out from time to time. I think it's very dangerous if your opponent doesn't know what they're supposed to do against it. Again, we have a Alekhine declined. I feel that I had this last time. Did I even have it against Shadowmate? Feels a familiar position. We played a game last time. Do I want to play d3? Shadowmate has thoughtfully challenged me at 3-2 this time, so I've got a better chance of not losing on time. Although I got mated in the first game. Yeah, so the Trompovsky, there are a lot of very dangerous lines. I don't think that white should be better with it if black knows what they're doing, but yeah, some unusual positions. I used it really to good effect against Georg Meyer in our first game, but then I repeated it, and obviously he prepared well, and painfully got squeezed in the rematch for 1-1. That's a interesting move. So I can't take because the pawn is hanging. So let's try and damage the structure first, at least. It's a very odd position. Yes, typical Alekhine. These knights jumping, white's knights jumping around as well. So I'm drinking some tea for my throat. I came down with something or other at the end of last week and slowly recovering. Let's develop. I want to take on b4, but queen a4 check was a bit annoying, forced me back. So I'd actually like to provoke this pawn forward to b5 when I can go knight b4 without there being a check on a4. So if I get time to develop normally, I should be doing well with a lot of squares. the downside. I went h5, by the way, because I was a bit worried about h3, g4, forcing all my pieces backwards. With h5, I've now got the f5 square as an outpost. Okay, let's continue my plan. Renewing the attack to this pawn on b4. Defended. Now, do I want to regain my pawn? This pawn on d3 feels like it's getting in the way for white. So, I think we can ignore it for now. Just not microphone touch. Great fits. That should improve the sound quality. I've got ideas now of throwing in bishop h4 check. Do I want to play it? Probably not, because white wants to develop the bishop this way anyway. Let's be greedy and go for some squares instead. So this time I'm moving up on time. Although I might be a pawn down. That's a good move. Let's make sure I think about what to do. Scrap the pawn. So my structure is also damaged now, but I'm hoping that shouldn't be too big an issue. This pawn on b4, for example, I hope is going to be a bit weak long term. I've got a lot of pressure down the b file. The other knight hops in. I don't mind knight takes f5 so much because I feel like then I have quite good control of the light squares. But I don't want to lose the other bishop. Now I've got some chaos with bishop h4 check. Oh, anyone who's seen my games knows that I can't resist a bit of chaos. Okay, so g3 must be necessary because otherwise the king has to move. Can't go to d1 because now I have 2 check. And king e2 looks very ugly. So I imagine g3 will be played, but my idea is to take on h2. We'll see what happens. Sacrificing a piece to open up some lines towards the king. My strategic game has ended somewhat with that, but this should be working quite well. I hope. There's no way of defending the rook now, so it turns out it's not even a sacrifice this time. I think I've ended up the exchange while the king is still a bit open. Now I'd like to play queen f2. And so to prepare that, I need to move the bishop out of the way. I don't know where I should put the bishop. And also, bear in mind that queen g4 is almost mate, with my bishop defended. So unfortunately, I don't think I've got a way of keeping both e1 and e3 squares under control. So let's go to g1. Threaten queen f2. King starts running. Take queen f2 anyway. Bishop's defended, but now I can grab another pawn. I do have 3 connected pass pawns over here. Which should be a bit of a comfort blanket. Let's just push them. And this rook isn't doing very much. Be nice to get involved. I just have to make sure e6 doesn't create some counterplay. So let's just stop that being. Oh, exchange of queens is a bit strange when you're so far down on material. Okay. I'll greedily attack another one. Surely even I can't mess this one up. Not with the 2-second increment. How many pawns? I got 6. So I'm exchanging 5 pawns up. I think that bishop is dropping as well. Thank you, Shadowmate. Good to get on the board. And an interesting game. I don't know what it's called. This other kind declined. Glad I noticed the shot was knight at h2. But I got quite lucky because I didn't see that I was winning the rook back immediately with queen h4. Hello, Oops Kitty. We played a few times. And let's try another King's Indian. Back to 3-0. My fortune hasn't been great there so far. A couple of losses at the start. Staying out of normal territory. And I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. But I'll play normal King's Indian moves. The big decision is what to put on c6. Let's put a pawn there. Both knight and pawn should be fine. The advantage of putting the pawn there is it's planting the bishop on g2. We'll attack the pawn on c4. I think my plan is to exchange off the light square bishops here. And so bishop h3 will hopefully come. That's a committal decision. Don't. Yeah, I'll probably take it. Okay, I'll take that one too. So now Oops Kitty has to decide whether to keep the bishops or probably this is correct. I succeed in my goal of exchanging light square bishops, but d5 is an outpost. Whereas taking with a c pawn would have left me with a very nice square on c5, and white with a weak structure long term. So now I have to decide what I'm doing with my development. Now knight c6 is a normal move, but let's go knight a6, because maybe I want to jump to c5. There is a pawn hanging on b7, but I gain some time on the queen if it's grabbed. Okay, we'll defend the pawn. Also eyeing up a cheeky queen h3 maybe at some point. Now that that light square bishop is off the board. Okay, we'll defend the pawn for now. Maybe I should be considering sacrificing a pawn here with e4 at some point to give my bishop a nice open diagonal. Probably white should be playing e4 to prevent it. But then I do get an outpost on d4. So I want knight c5, then b4. Keep hopping round. Yeah. Maybe I'll hop all the way to g5 and into f3. That'd be nice. If the knight's not hit, then I'll play e4 next move. I have no idea, Liv. What did happen? I know I've managed to win one game so far. So f3 was sort of played to prevent e4, but I'm very happy to play it anyway. So I'm pawn down, but I've got a fantastic bishop, and these pawns are very weak. My piece is pointing. I doubt it, Connor. Mate in 10 is probably quite hard to achieve, even with your opponent's help. If you're not directly going for it. That was a good practical decision to give up a couple pawns. I say with such weak pawns anyway, to challenge my strong bishop. Let's have that one again. Now 37 seconds, okay. Have to remember there's no increment. Start accelerating a bit. What to do with that pawn? Let's push it a square. So it's taken, then I can take on e3. And otherwise my plan is to play h5, h4 and attack the somewhat weakened king. So it's missing an f2 pawn. So exchange queens will win back the pawn. Exchange queens, probably the right decision, especially when I've got 20 seconds. Not very confident that my technique is going to manage this one. First of all, I want to put my pawns on squares that they're at least all defended. I have the rook, and now get the king involved as well. Rook be checked. And slowly advance. I need to create a pass pawn somehow. Want to exchange those pawns? Not enough time to think about it. Where's he going to go with this rook? I was very scared if I took the pawn. Oops. I gambled wrong there. Uh-oh. Oops. I gambled wrong there as well. Oh dear. And that's a 0 from 3. I can resign. Well done, oops kitty. I just left myself with not enough time. I think I was doing all fine around here, but suddenly I shouldn't really take this pawn on g4. Sorry, on h4. But it requires some calculation how best to start converting. Maybe what I did is still okay. But here, maybe a plan of going after the b3 pawn, bring the rook around. The problem with take was suddenly I realized that if I take the pawn on h4 now, then I was scared by rook a4, exchanging the rooks. And am I inside the square? So when the pawn gets the square, queening square goes around like that. After rook a4, take the pawn on h4, take b4, my king is outside the square. So I can't take... no, sorry, hang on, I'm talking rubbish. I've started taking a4, rook a4, king g5, and I am back in the square. So I could have taken the pawn on h4. As it was, this should be a draw, but no time. Of course, I should take the pawn. Well done, oops kitty. 1 out of 4. Oh well. Hello, Hex. Let's try another other cam. Yes, I need to speed up. Keep losing because I'm a chatterbox. Yeah, but you guys want to hear my thoughts, don't you, during the game? I can try going a bit faster. So we've had a few exchanges at the start. For now, the kind of got a more normal structure. And okay, I've got IQP, this pawn on d5. Only really if it's... I'm assuming that Hex will recapture the pawn. Just with the knight. Still the same if I take, but I'll wait. I've got the advantage of the bishop pair on a fairly open board. So the opening looks like it's gone quite well. Thank you for the game, oops, Kitty, and well played. Hopefully that's my last loss of the evening, but at the moment I doubt it. So the question is, this knight on e5 looks like a nice piece, whether to exchange on c6 to damage my structure. It's a bit complicated why my structure should be damaged with d5, c6, a7 versus a7, b7, d5. But the pawn on c6 is quite easy to attack along the c file, and also means that c5 is an outpost for a white knight. So the pawn is actually much better on b7. It remains 2 pawn islands both ways round, but the pawn on d5 isn't that easy to attack. That's why I want to recapture the queen if I can. I just want to watch out for some strange tricks. Get my loose bishop, so let's move it. Idea of queen b6 attacking both pawns as well. The bishop e5, yeah, good move. I think I run away. I don't want these bishops off the board. My advantage here is the bishop pair. If we exchange one pair of bishops, then white is going to be a bit better with the knight on c3 a bit more useful than my bishop stuck passive on e6. Okay, this time I'm not sure about the quality of my moves, but I've taken your input on board and I'm playing faster. Still 2 minutes. I have to remember that really is the key to successful blitz play, is just playing fast. Probably not even worrying too much about the quality of your moves. When you start trying to play the best moves in the position, you tend to lose on time in blitz chess. The key is just to avoid blundering. I'm hoping this f3 is a bit of a weakness, that the king is a bit more vulnerable now. Rook e5, okay, I'll defend my bishop. Drop back again. Doesn't look like I've done an awful lot in the last few moves, but my structure that with h7, g7, h6, g7, f7, they're a bit more harmonious than h4 and f3. Let's get around to actually completing my development. Probably I don't really want to allow this knight round to c5. So let's move my queen somewhere. I'll attack the pawn on h4. And let's put a bit of pressure on this one. Ooh. Interesting exchange sacrifice. Changing the dynamic a bit. But unfortunately, Hex just doesn't have enough time. This one, as long as I don't allow a very quick mate with rook e7. And this is tricky, because I don't have any checks. Should be okay. I think I can go away with queen here. And then I'm defending with pawn on g7 and my rook. I only got a win at 3-0. Thank you, Hex. Yeah, play faster. That's always the key. Hex, you played very well there. I only won because you got too short on time. Well, Alakine win. Yep, Stuart. Okay, let's see if I can play Trompovsky. Hello, Marvelous Moggy. So in general with the Tromp, you're trying to give up your bishop pair either to inflict some damage to black structure by taking on f6, or at least that's a claim, or to gain some time to get a lead in development and some attack going. For these lines where you keep the bishop are a bit slower, a bit more like a London, although it's an unusual London with f3 and h4 on the board. This I've got some sense in now. Going back to d6 was interesting, but I'm not convinced that knight is better on d6 than it was back on f6. And so it gets in the way a bit of black's other pieces. Yes, Thomas, I decided to wheel out the trump. Question is how I'm exactly going to attack after something like e6. As I develop my pieces, probably castle queenside. The question I'm wondering about is whether I should take this and then play e5 and get this sort of French structure, or whether I can keep attacking with the bishop still on the board. Defend that pawn, postpone the decision for a moment. And d2 or e2. Go to d2. Does allow the bishops to be exchanged with bishop g5. But at the moment, my bishop is probably getting in the way a bit of my pawn storm over on the king side. I'm also possibly going to go bishop takes h6 if the king castles. This was the downside to d2 though, that a knight is getting ready to hop in to c4. So I'll weaken my structure to prevent it. I'm close to playing e5. I'll wait for another move. Now I'm a bit loath to castle queenside because I'm a bit afraid I'm going to get mated on a3 and b2. So I have to decide exactly how I'm going to connect up my rooks. Yes, sure, here's Dag. Play the accelerated dragon via which move order? 2 knight c6 is the true accelerated dragon, but then I'm quite likely to get Russell Lima. So generally I used to play it via the hyper accelerated move order with 2 g6, which I had on the white side earlier. Okay, so I'm no longer about to take. It's an interesting move. I'll swap this way. Oh, this structure is quite bad with the double b pawns, but maybe some play down the c file. My castle queenside is much too dangerous now, so I'll go kingside. Still, I'd like to attack over here if I can. That's those bishops coming off. I'm happy with the bishops being exchanged. I don't really want the queens coming off too if I can help it. So that's... I'm not at all sure about that move. I think I would prefer to take that back. But what I'm trying to do with queen a5 is just to keep the queens on the board and attack the pawn on b5. But after this exchange and now for something like queen g5, I don't really want to have exchanged my pawn on h5 for that one on b5. Yeah, well played, Marvelous Moggy. Am I going to acquiesce with that exchange, or am I going to self-pin and accept queen a5 was a terrible move? Wow. I really don't want to play queen d2, but I can't find a good way to exchange. The problem is that some move like knight e2 is what I was thinking about. I have to take on h5, take on b5. Marvelous Moggy could still castle kingside when I had no attack at all. Now e5 is what I want to do, but f6 looks like it's a problem. So if I take, rook takes, and I don't have a good way of defending my knight. It's going to be very difficult here to keep the queens on. Okay, first of all, let's defend my queen, so at least I'm not going to lose the knight. Now play e5. At least now the knight will be able to hop into g6. That wasn't possible before because my queen was hanging. If f6 is played. Yeah, I think the queens are going to have to come off here. Maybe I can... I've got a cunning plan. can go queen h2, and then at least I've broken this pin. And then the knight can move. Maybe too, I could do it by bringing my king up to defend the knight, and then move the queen. The king plan appeals to me. Okay, challenging, but I'll take that. It's a big outpost on g6, yeah. Okay, well, do I have time? e5 is a threat now to exchange his queen, so let's get out of the pin. Maybe my queen can slyly come in via d6 to e7. I think my king should be completely safe. I've thrown the pawns up the board in front of it, but it's hard for too many pieces to get into the attack. My queen is covering and rook. I have to get my queen in. So e4 is an idea, which will weaken both kings, really. Let's just put my king in the corner first, getting ready for the g-file opening. Maybe I can even do it myself by playing f4. Capture. It's quite sharp. I'll wait to move. I want my rook on g2, and then I'll play f4. He's getting ready to play e4. My king actually is not that safe in the corner. Ooh. I feel I'm got outplayed rather here by Marvelous Monkey. It's all getting completely random. I'm hoping that those pawns on d5 and e4 are going to save my king. Do I have anything more than a check? At least there's increment in this game. And my king has survived now. Can I get... Oh, why did I not go a square further? Just go further. Queen c7 would have won material here. This is I'm probably still on top because my pieces are attacking. I think my king is safe. There's one check with queen e3, but I can go to h2. But that was a very good game, Marvelous Monkey. I thought my position was all going well, but this plan of bishop c6 here was a very good plan. Eyeing at my king. I think king h1 was a bit lazy. Maybe here I should have started with rook d2 to g2, or simply played f4 and trusted that black's king is going to be weaker than white's after queen takes g4 check. But very good game. Still, the 3-2s have been going better. Hello, Connor. Let's try another kind. Now, you were downplaying your chances in the chat. But let's go for a slightly different. Had d5 earlier. Now e5 is going to transpose to some e4, e5 openings. I'll go d5 to keep it more in a two knights tango. So I've got a choice of exchanging queens if I want. D takes e4 and exchanging queens on d1, which should be about equal. Sorry for the background noise. Dog deciding that it's time to jump up on my bed. I'm hoping that there's no way of taking advantage of this pin immediately, because e5, I can play h6. Here we go, we'll see. In fact, that was my idea, but I can use the other pin. The queen is hanging. Too many pins. I wanted to play queen d5, but bishop takes f6. Then can I... What's happening? Queen a5, check. Let's just play a bit of a more normal move. Break the pin. You're too busy typing in chat, Connor, than focusing on the game. Yeah, I was lucky. Actually, my idea against e5 was play h6 and g5. And then I just noticed that actually the pawn could be taken. Okay, I don't have an extra queen, so I think I can happily exchange bits now. Hello, Manuel. And hello, Brian. Misreading him. Hello, brain damaged. Not Brian damaged. Does bishop b5 check? Annoying there. Have to play c6. Knight takes c6 and hope that my pawn on c3 annoys sufficiently. Maybe I could have just sidestepped with my king as well. With king f8. "54 moves against Jan. With white or black?" If he's playing black, was he just playing his martial repertoire? Super solid. Chicken chess club stuff. Of course, he's a very strong player. Bullet. 54 moves is not that easy either. To deal with the threat, the bishop can drop back. I'll get my last piece into the game. How to play against me, brain damage. Challenge me. There's an update on Chess24 if you're a premium member. I'm accepting randomly, so if luck is on your side, we'll get a game. When this bishop is trapped, rook d4, then queen a1 check is unfortunate geometry. And Monkey King, far better to play me with a damaged brain. That way I have a chance. Don't know if you saw my first few games this evening. I'm probably still not on a plus score after dropping. I have forced mate here with rook d2 or play the checks. I think I lost 3 of the first 4. Thank you, Connor. A very respectable showing. Yeah, after losing the queen to this pin with knight to e5, it was going to be an uphill battle. And hello, Power of Knights. With the name Power of Knights, that's only fitting to play the Trompowsky. E takes f6. The modern way of doing it. G takes was the various games, but Magnus played this way against Sergei Karyakin with G takes recapture in their World Championship match. So I think generally the idea is to play c4 at some point, weaken the pawn on d5. Can I do it now? So there's a question, because dc keeps the structure intact, but makes the bishop on g2 stronger and gives us 2v0 center. On the other hand, if you let me go cd5 and have to recapture cd, then you've got this very weak, isolated queen's pawn on d5 that I can go and attack. Monkeying. Yeah, this time I've definitely not been deadly, or maybe only to myself. My time management was not ideal in the first couple of games. People have started challenging me at 3-2, which gives me a slightly better chance. Now, the last couple of moves would be mating me on h2 if I had castled and have a pawn on g3. But otherwise, I'm a bit confused what the point is. I'll take the pawn. The idea of queen b3 was that I was forking both the d5 and b7 pawns. So this was the idea. And I guess the queen is defending the pawn on c6. But the problem is the bishop on c7 is now unprotected. The queen can't go any further down this diagonal. So I have to go up the knight to keep the bishop. Let's kick that queen away again. Actually, why did I play that stupid move? Bishop a5 check would have been rather annoying. It'll be even more annoying now. So should I take the pawn on c6 or just move my... Let's just castle. Not allow that trick again. And I'll even give back the exchange. I've got enough material and the knight is so good on d4. The pawn on c6 will drop and then have a nice pass pawn on c5 as well. This position is probably a perfect snapshot of what you're going for from a strategic point of view with the Trompowsky. You don't get the lines where you're mating or attempting to mate by giving the bishop up for a lead in development. You're aiming for the structural advantage. Let's be boring. The bishop survived. Thank you, Power of Knights. Yeah, things went very wrong quite quickly with the pressure on the d5 pawn. When I got in, already when I went queen b3, I think it's unpleasant because you can't defend both the b7 and d5 pawns. And if d5 falls, everything is likely to fall down that diagonal because the bishop is so strong on g2. Let's see who we've got next. Hello, Jap. Now Jap feels rather too strong for my level, but maybe I've warmed up by this point. Is Jap still there? We played 6 games so far in various previous Banter Blitzes. Yep. Jap doesn't allow me to play the Trompowsky, so I'll play the bishop g5 anyway. Here it looks so strange, but it is a move. Now f6 is antidote though. We were discussing this position at a team dinner in the French League recently. Bishop h4 is the most natural when you've just gone to g5, but then knight h6 to f5, and you drop the bishop and you haven't actually inflicted much structural damage on, well, not on at all on black. So we're wondering about just going back to c1 like this and claiming that maybe the pawn on f6 is a weakness. e5 was played a bit too quickly though for my liking. Well, let's see what's happening. I'm threatening queen h5 check. It feels a bit like we're playing a King's Gambit with colours reversed, where I've lost a tempo because I'm white, but my bishop came out to d5 and went back again to c1. Thank you, Monkey King. Polite to these humans. I imagine that most of you are human that are following this show. With limited value to robots. What is happening here? Too confusing. Let's play a check and see what's happening. The lines that I'm trying to calculate are after c6, taking the pawn on c6, and then bishop takes f2 check, and I can take that. Bishop d7 is a more restrained approach. So I'm a pawn up. Pawn on d5 can be attacked quite a lot. The main scary thing is f2, being a king's gambit after all. That there's two open lines towards it. That's why I put my knight on the rim over on h3. At least it is defending the pawn. But yeah, if I have enough time to... oh, too many arrows. I can do the arrows, ended up drawing more. If I'm not mated on f2, then I'm doing well in this position. I've got the better structure and an extra pawn. Anything I do, you can do better. Right? I play knight h3, so you go knight a6. We'll develop. I'm quite happy to get rid of this knight on f6. It's one of the attackers, potential attackers, are both f2 and d5 pawns. I go to trouble on the f file. I'm also taking control of this e4 square. Okay, we'll get rid of the knight and do I castle into the lion's den? Yes, reluctantly. At least I defend the pawn on f2. Brain damage f6 is Shankland Setaraman suggestions against 2 bishop g5. Yeah, I think it's established that the problem with 2 bishop g5 is f6. So as I was saying, the problem is going back to h4. Is there any big threat here? It's going to really play knight d4. So I want to take the e4 square. Let's try queen 2. Yeah, sorry, so the problem with bishop h4 is this knight h6 to f5, and the bishop is just trapped on h4. You can go back to g3, but it can be taken anyway. And so f6 means that the bishop is really forced backwards somewhere. Going back to c1 is not the theoretical point, but I was discussing it with my teammates. As I was saying, we couldn't find an instant refutation. So I thought that was good enough for a blitz game. Now what's happening here? Too sharp again. Queen takes h3 is a threat. I was wondering whether I allow it. So if I take on c5, takes on h3, it threatens mate on g2. So I wanted queen e4 when I defend the mate and threaten to take on g6. But I can't quite get it to work. So I'll go rook g4. And then my queen is half attacked on e4. So if he takes, I can take his queen. But I didn't really have a threat. Hopefully this is a bit safer. I'm still a bit scared I'll get mated, but my knights are dominating on, well, it's not an h3, but the knight on e4 is dominating the board. I have complete control of the light squares. Let's kick this knight back. Not let it challenge. It goes all the way back. And find the complete development. I'm getting ready to play f4 as well. The knight h3 will finally get involved in the game. Yeah, brain damage, that was the idea. of going back to c1, the f6 could be claimed at least to be a weakness. Now, is it time for f4? Yeah, let's try and hop the knight into e6. The question, of course, is whether black can get some superpowered king's gambit, where they can control the center. It's got a lot of similarities to the fantasy variation. Okay, with 2-second increment, it would be careless to lose on time. Getting a bit close to it. It's a bit similar to the fantasy variation of the Caro-Kann as well. I was about to play knight f4, but the knight's doing a good job of preventing me being mated on the f file. Oh, on the h file. So let's leave it there. Just push the fast pawns instead. Now, what's happening next? Let's leave my rook attacked, but on e1, but I'm attacking the other one. We swap some bits off. Okay, probably knight can finally join in the game. My plan is straightforward now. I just want to queen one of these central pawns. Good game, Jack. I think it's quite interesting. This, bishop to d5 and back to c1. So, yeah, as I was saying, it's quite like the fantasy variation of the Caro-Kann. Imagine if there were a pawn on c3 and switch colours and after e7 to e5. I don't think my level has improved during the hour. Thank you for bearing with me during it. Let's see if I can get another either trump or this. I can't remember what this pseudo Trumpovsky is called, where the bishop goes to g5 anyway. Aslan, are you there? We've been quite lucky tonight. Last Banter Blitz, I bought a lot of games. Looks like this will be the first. Sorry, Aslan. Brain damaged. Hello. Hopefully you're there as you sent me the challenge. Or you told me in chat that you sent me the challenge. Let's try this line again. You've had a good 5 minutes to book up on it. c5. Going the other way. We had e5. Okay. I think I want to play for e4. Attack with pawn on d5. Maybe it should be sacrificed. Do with the bishop. I will defend my queen. Having been following the stream, Brain Damage knows that my score at 3-0 this evening has been far, far worse than 3-2. So, crafty challenge at 3-0. I think this opening's worked out pretty well for me again, though. Pawn f6 is definitely a liability here. Not only has it made the king rather more vulnerable along the light squares, but the knight the knight's just up to e7. I really wanted to go on f6. It means that e4 is quite a good outpost for the queen as well. Or not outpost, because it can be kicked by f5. You know what I mean. Let's try and open up some more lines towards that king. The games have to be rated. No, Einstein. I'm accepting randomly from premium members, so rated or unrated doesn't matter. The rated ones have already killed my rating. I think I dropped 100 rating points in the first 2 games. Now, 95 is very tempting, but it probably just swaps things. So let's just move the queen. Okay, sorry, Monkey King. Are you also Monkey King on Chess24? I'll have a look out for you. And take you to the front of the queue rather than doing accept random for the next one. Ooh. So my bishop can't actually be taken because it's mate with f7. Now, I don't want to just move that bishop or exchange it. I'd like to keep attacking somehow. I don't think it's really attacked either because my knight is going to be a monster when it lands on d6. Let's bring that other one. Sort of attacking the bishop, but maybe going to jump into e6 as well. That's a good move, covering some important squares. Now my bishop is more attacked, but once I've made the decision to sacrifice it, I'll just leave it there. Probably not very sound by this point. My original idea was to take with the other knight, but I was a bit scared about pressure down the c file, so I took the d knight. Where to go? I don't want to block either of my rooks. So probably I'll say on the 4th rank. Let's try a4. So I still have this knight d6, and I can hope that I've got some discovered bishop move. Oh. I haven't seen it yet. An attack on the queen. There we go. Allowed the discovery. And my knight feels like it's too strong a piece there to exchange for mere rook. So my knight's dominating. They say that queen and knight is a very strong attacking combo. The queen and 2 knights should be lethal. Actually, you can get rid of one of them now. So I need to grab. So I lost track of what the material balance actually is. Well, I got queen. I probably have a forced mate here. I like h3 with the idea of just g4 mate. Can't see a way of dealing with it. So yeah, queen for rook and bishop. Queen and 2 pawns for rook and bishop. Comfortably up on material as well. The g4 is the main thing. Yeah, I like this bishop g5 back to c1 approach. Maybe I should play it in a OTB game at some point. Nice brain damaged. And Monkey King. Let's see if I can. There we go. As you waited patiently. And we even get another outing in this line. Too scared to play f6 after those games. Yeah, it looks so peculiar, this move bishop g5, when there's nothing to take on f6. But the idea is that, well, black wants to play knight f6 or move the e-pawn. Going sharp stuff. So the bishop on g5 is still a bit annoying. No problem, brain damage. Thanks for the game. That was a fun game. Thanks everyone for bearing with me. I feel that my level has improved after the game. If only my league games could be at this point. I was suffering quite a bit over the weekend as I was trying to play them. So what's happening in this position? Material is level. I've got a decent lead in development. The queen is a bit misplaced on a3. If black has time to complete development, we'll be doing perfectly fine, maybe even a little bit better. Because with c5 at some point, black has a better structure. He's going to get rid of his third pawn island, while I'll still be left with one. So I have to do something with my lead in development, or a bit worse. Got some Scandinavian vibes. Let's keep chasing the queen for the moment. With pawns on c6 and e6, that the Dasko bishop should be black's good piece here. So that exchange isn't the end of the world for me. Now I'd like to improve my structure with c4 if I can. I need to do something about the bishop on a6. It's on an annoying diagonal. Is there any way of doing this? I thought I'd play rook a3, but I think queen takes rook would not be very clever. Okay, let's try this way. So I want to come out to a5, but I can't actually kick the bishop away from the diagonal. But his bishop is very good on a6 because it's also controlling the b7 square. So at least this way, well, that's an interesting decision. So my idea is to come here with rook b7. But now I get in my c4, and I've got this Catalan bishop on g2. That should be better than a knight. But the central pawn c4 and d4 are the so-called hanging pawns. They're always a bit tricky to assess. It's like a committal move. They control a lot of central squares, but they don't defend each other. And so they can be very good, but if they become weak, then they're very, very bad. That's why I pushed c5, so I gave away an outpost, but got one of my own, and the pawns are at least a bit more secure now. Challenge with open file. The rooks will get exchanged, and then I'll try and put a rook on the 7th. Probably it's time to break out with e5. I think. Otherwise, I don't. My king goes a different way. With some direct attack, but I don't see it. Oh. Well, gets a couple of pawns. Interesting idea, monkey king. e5 would have got something similar without giving up a piece. Okay, I would still have an f2 pawn. Now, how greedy can I get? Let's be sensible. Try to get this queens off the board. I was considering playing bishop takes c6, but that was a bit risky. Okay, so it's knight for 2 pawns, but my knight is, or should be, very strong. There was an idea of king e8, giving up this pawn on a7. I realised I have to play knight c8, because my knight would have been trapped with 1 extra tempo. I don't know if I had time to play b4, b5 to liberate it. Now, those pieces should all take care of themselves. Not really sure what the point of my last move was. King c7, I just had to come back again. Oh, 6 seconds. Okay, need to speed up. 5, 4. Good game, Monkey King. Taking it right to the wire. Yeah, that knight sacrifice with knight g4 to take f2 is very interesting, but without any other pieces in the attack other than the queen, it shouldn't be too scary for me. I think e5 was probably a better way of doing it. No problem, Monkey King. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Brain damaged, another of your challenges, you get lucky. I seem to have had almost all white today. This is one of the games I remembered. I have Yabava Verisov. So I'll play my Yabava London, as it's sometimes known. A hybrid of the two. So I'll play my course for as long as I remember what my course recommendation is. Now am I threatening that h5? That's the idea. As in the lines with bishop g5 that we were discussing before, this bishop is trapped. Is there some counterplay down the... I'll probably move forward, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's really any counterplay down the h file here. I believe this position is still in my course, but I might be mistaken. Some strong guy, one of the top American GMs, played this way as white, but I didn't really believe in it. I think it was some blitz game. Because after all, I've got the bishops and the center and more space. Do I close? Yeah, let's close the center, which goes against the advice of having the bishops. But when you want to open the position, I want to start attacking on the queen side. If you want to have a flank attack, then it's better to close the center. Time to go for it. And not Hans Niemann brain damaged. One of the slightly older ones. I can't remember which one. Someone like Samuel Sevier. I don't think it was him. But, the name's escaped me for now. Now is g4 a threat? Not yet. I can simply take it. Let's keep pushing pawns with abandon. This knight on e1 is a bit sad. Now that's not really threatening g4, is it, brain damaged? I think there's a flaw to your plan. I just want to open up some lines towards this king. a3, I don't think I'm going to keep it closed for long when I've got my uncontested bishop on g7. Let's get that bishop involved. Probably at some point. This is a good wave. I thought this, yeah. I'm babbling. This was a good plan with a3, c3. I saw it coming to stop b4. What I forgot was that it also means that the knight is rejoining the game. So what I want to do is reroute my knight. It's doing nothing on c7. So I'll continue rerouting it. I have to take a timeout if knight b4 to defend my pawn on c6, I think. Brain damage has been outplaying me for a few moves. Getting somewhere on the king side, maybe. I'm going to keep jumping around aimlessly. I'm going for the outpost on b3, but I don't know if it achieves that much. I still have more space, but I certainly could have done this a bit better. Just my attack on the queen side was successfully blocked. I have a threat. Yes, brain damage. Got lucky to get the 2 games by must I lose. Have you challenged me this evening? Ready to play G4, maybe? Yeah, I'm not very impressed with how I've played after the opening of this one. H5 was my idea, but I'm very scared by the bishop sacrifice. So has to be something else. Now something completely different. Let's break this way instead. Knight takes e4 was on there because my queen was undefended. Then I think I was in a bit of trouble. I still might be in trouble, but I'm hoping that the knights are still a bit passive, and with a good wind, maybe I can prevent any mating attack over on the king side. I just need to check there's no pretty mate with queen takes g6. I think my king can run to f6. Time for the knight on a5 that's been a bystander to actually get involved if I get a moment. A check. Random. Am I getting mated over here at all? Not that I've seen yet. The queen sack is still not quite working. Attacking the rook, then I think my queen and rook battery on the 7th rank are enough. I'm hoping to get some mate on the light squares. That was one of the reasons for sacking the pawn on b4. The other, of course, was to open up the a file. Now, risky move, queen b5, taking an eye off the king side, but I'm hoping my attack is going to justify it. So now I get the rook takes h7 was good. What is happening here? I might just be in a lot of trouble. What is it? So I take the rook, queen takes g6, check. Oh, that's unfortunate brain damage. Working to mate. We've gone the other way with king b1. What is happening? If I play rook back to b2 check, it's at least a draw for white by taking it. Queen e2 check, take pawn on b3, queen c4 check, and then you run back to c1, so that's not working. So I'd have to take the rook on h7. And then queen takes g6 check. And if I block with rook g7, queen e6 check, I block again with rook f7, and it's probably going to be a draw, I would guess. But yeah, well played, brain damaged. and unlucky at the end. And why must I lose? As you were complaining about the 2 games there, let's have another game to finish this evening's banter. 1e3. Okay, I'll just play the King's Indian anyway. I wonder if e3 was a mouse up or intentional. Just play. I'll play a slightly different setup. We had some very similar opening earlier. I played with d6. But this time I played d5 instead. A more Grunfeld way of playing the position. Not really sure about that move at all. I want to attack the pawn on c4 and try and provoke cd, so that I can recapture c8, c5 and have a square for my knight, probably after exchanging other pieces. But my bishop is very clumsy on e6. I suppose we try to justify it with exchanging bishops on h3. Does 1h4 prevent the King's Indian? Knight f6, h5, then probably 2g6, not to be recommended. I don't think I covered 1h4 exactly in my course. You found a hole. On the other hand, I don't think it's too scary. After knight f6, h5, you can probably play e5 and take control of the center. Right, so what is happening here? I'm very tempted to leave my bishop there. So a couple of things. I was wondering if I've got any way of just go a knight move on, just attack the other knight, or play e5 and let's try e5. I've not calculated it at all. With the knight can't really drop back because then the bishop will stay on the board with bishop e6. So, speak of the devil. Commentator's curse, however it is. I was sure the bishop had to be taken, because now I've got a nice center and I kept my bishop. Knight e2 felt like it was trusting me a bit. Always a mistake. Now I feel that my wacky opening has made more of a sensible position. That's a good knight on e4. I can get rid of it if I want. Probably is the right time to. I've got an outpost on e5. White has an outpost on d5 in return. So do I play the somewhat risky g5 to prevent the knight from hopping around? We really have a King's Indian reverse now. I won't do it yet. I said I'll try and hop into e3. Now this is a very pretty looking knight. A shame to exchange it again. Probably is best. Oh, I went to lose on time as well, so we'll speed up and win the exchange. Our white's position looks much better now. with that knight off the board. But this time up material. Now, there's some tricks, maybe. I wasn't sure if the pawn on d4 could be taken, but I think I have to take bishop takes, knight takes. Taking with the rook would have been a big mistake because my pawn would be hanging on f7. I could have pinned the king by putting the queen on the this diagonal. But I managed to exchange things, and the d pawn is going to win some material as well. This time 22 seconds should be enough. I think I could probably be a bit greedy as well, rather than just winning the exchange. Do it this way. So I have a pin at the end. Thanks. Why must I lose for another good game? I got probably it was always quite good for me, but well, at least once 92 was played. But here there was knight takes d5, f takes g4. It's all extremely complicated. I'd be quite surprised if black is doing well in all variations here. Maybe I was getting lucky. Anyhow, that's the end of this one. So thanks everyone for the games and following the show. Hopefully my quality improved a bit during it. I was a bit worried after losing so many games at the start. But thank you for your company, and I hope to see you all again very soon for another Banter Blitz. Cheers. Good night.
A5. What do you think about this opening? Honestly, what do you think?
You don't have to play knight c3. We can actually put a piece on d2, which is better because then we avoid the potential doubling of our c pawns.
What you have to understand about practical endgames as a whole is that just like in the middle game or the opening, you cannot rely solely on these general considerations.
Up my rocker, but follow me, I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game. I'm only ever slinging, I'm working overtime. Got the song and I'm the singer, the melody, the vibe. I'm a prodigy, logically, I'm impossibly wanted. Then they'll remember my name. They'll remember my name. Ooh, well, I'm ahead now. I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game.
Time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at Chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Welcome to the new Chess24 playing experience. Play in light mode or dark mode. Choose from a range of time controls or create a custom game. And get paired with players from around the world fast. Enjoy a polished playing experience while making moves on a fresh, responsive board to claim your victories. Train and improve with over 80,000 puzzles. And that's not all. Download now and discover what more you can enjoy in our brand new app.